They said I died. There was even a service. Candles. Flowers. A eulogy dripping with lies. I wasn't there, of course, no casket, no body. Just a perfectly staged performance for a grieving audience that didn't think to question the silence. That's how much they wanted me gone. Not just out of their lives, but out of existence. My name is Leah, or at least it used to be. Welcome to the Soulful Stories channel. Subscribe today and stay updated. Never miss a single story. You don't just vanish one day. Erasure is slow, deliberate. First, they stop calling. Then they stop acknowledging you ever existed. One by one, the photos disappear from the walls. Your name is whispered like a curse, then not at all. It's a strange thing, being ghosted by your entire bloodline. But here's the part that no one expected. I was watching. Every word, every fake tear, every carefully crafted sentence meant to rewrite history. And then came the message. Just 3 words from my old neighbor, Mrs. Whitmore. You need this. Attached was a video. I clicked play and watched my own funeral. Imagine standing in your tiny apartment, holding a half-eaten sandwich, and realizing the world thinks you're dead. But I wasn't. I'm not. They buried a lie, and now I'm digging it up. This is not just a story about revenge. This is about identity. This is about power. This is about what happens when you try to erase someone who was never supposed to be quiet. So, let me introduce myself properly again. I'm Leah, and I'm back. It didn't feel real at first. The video kept buffering, freezing right on my mother's face, mascara running, hand clutching a tissue she didn't need. She said I was a bright light gone too soon. My father nodded like a statue. Chloe gave a tearful speech about how I had always been misunderstood. Misunderstood? I wanted to laugh, but there was nothing funny about it. There was no casket, no mention of what happened to my body, just vague words. A tragic accident. Such a loss. They cried on cue, like actors in a bad play, but the audience believed every word. I paused the video and stared at the screen. This wasn't just some strange hoax. This was official, organized, public. Someone had gone through a lot of trouble to make it look real. I started digging. It didn't take long to confirm what I feared. I had been legally declared dead. No bank accounts, no medical records, no credit history. My name was marked as deceased in the national database. In the eyes of the system, I was a ghost, a name without a person. I thought about the last time I saw my father. His eyes didn't hold anger, they held finality. You no longer exist to us, he said. I thought he meant emotionally, but they made it literal. The more I read, the colder I felt, like my blood was leaving my body molecule by molecule. They didn't just erase me from their lives. They rewrote history. And the worst part, they thought I'd stay gone. But that's the thing about ghosts. Sometimes they come back. It started with numbers. 1 error in a quarterly report. A missing sum. Whispers in the hallway. Then, suddenly it was everywhere. Leah caused the loss. Leah manipulated the books. Leah brought shame to the firm. But I didn't. The truth? It was Chloe. She had always been the golden child. Charming, poised, and ruthless behind closed doors. I found the discrepancies first, and when I brought them to our father, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought he'd listen. Protect the company. Protect me. But Chloe got there first. She spun a story, and he believed her, no questions asked. She cried in his office, said I was jealous, said I was trying to destroy the family's legacy out of spite. And just like that, I was out. I remember the board meeting like a fever dream. Cold faces, legal threats, a forced resignation. They made it all look official, like I was guilty, like I was dangerous. My email was shut off before I even left the building. The worst part, my father didn't say a word. He just watched. Later, in the driveway, I asked him why. He didn't even look at me. You no longer exist to us, he said. That was the last time I saw him. I lost my job, my home, my name. Friends stopped answering. Family disappeared like smoke. My existence became something shameful, something no one wanted to be associated with. I wasn't just fired. I was erased. And Chloe? She got promoted, wore my smile, took my office, lived the life they built on top of my silence. But silence is temporary. And exile, it's just the beginning of the return. At first, I thought it was just time. People needed space, right? Emotions were high. The situation was messy. Surely someone would reach out. But no one did. I called. I texted. I emailed. Nothing. I left voicemails filled with tears, confusion, apologies for things I didn't even do. Just desperate to be heard. Silence. 1 week turned into months. Birthdays came and went. Holidays passed like ghost trains. Loud from the outside, but empty when they reached me. I watched from the sidelines as life went on without me. My childhood friends stopped replying. Even coworkers I thought were loyal unfollowed, disconnected, disappeared. It was like I had a contagious disease, and they were afraid to catch it. I wasn't just cut off, I was untethered. There was no anchor, no nameplate, no record of me. Slowly, I stopped introducing myself to new people. What was the point? Who was I anymore? I started questioning my own memory. Did it really happen that way? Was I the villain in their story? Had I deserved it? That's the thing about silence. It's loud, deafening. It echoes until you start to believe the absence of noise means you're the problem. But I wasn't. They needed me gone to preserve the lie. And in order to keep the story clean, I had to disappear completely. Emotionally, socially, legally. Erasure isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just no one looking for you. No one calling to ask where you've been. It's absence dressed up as peace. But I was still here, breathing, watching. The world had forgotten me, but I hadn't forgotten them. They mistook my quiet for surrender. They had no idea I was building a storm in the silence. It started with a message. Out of nowhere, Ben, my cousin, the only one who ever asked how I was doing during family dinners. We hadn't spoken in years. His text was short, like he was afraid someone might see it. They said you died in a car crash. A car crash. No date, no details, no questions. Just a neatly packaged tragedy to keep the story straight. My hands were shaking. I called him immediately, but it went to voicemail. I texted again. No response. But that message cracked something open. I wasn't crazy. They really had told people I was dead. That night, I opened a new browser window and started digging. Not just Google, I went deep. Public records, archived posts, old press releases. My name was gone from the company website. Photos I'd once been tagged and had mysteriously vanished from family social media pages. It was like I'd been photoshopped out of my own life. Then I found it. A scanned document buried in a database of death records. My name, my birth date, my date of death. The certificate was fake, sloppy. It listed injuries inconsistent with any real crash. The signature wasn't even from a real coroner. It was from someone who died 3 years earlier. It was surreal holding it in my hands. Proof that I wasn't just forgotten, I'd been erased with intent. I printed it, highlighted every inconsistency, labeled it Exhibit A. I didn't know who had filed it yet, but I had a feeling. This wasn't just a lie. It was a strategy, a cover-up, and somewhere inside this carefully constructed illusion was the truth. And I was going to find it. It was always Chloe. After I found the death certificate, everything began to click into place. I kept digging through financial records, property transfers, corporate filings. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly, just following the scent of something rotten. Then I found it, a series of signatures on documents filed just weeks after my death. One of them was for a trust, my trust, the one our grandfather left me. Somehow it had been claimed by Chloe. She used my name. And not just on paper. I found articles, press releases about a new startup she launched, branding herself as a visionary leader, carrying on her late sister's legacy. Late sister. The twist? She wasn't just taking my money. She took my life. Photos of her at tech conferences, using my middle name. Speaking in interviews about how losing Leah inspired her mission. Even her wedding announcement listed her as Chloe Navarro, my last name. I stared at the screen, heart racing. It was like watching a version of me succeed, live, thrive. But it wasn't me. It was a costume stitched for my identity and her ambition. They didn't just kill me off. They replaced me. The family narrative was complete now. I had died tragically. Chloe had risen nobly. Our parents, heartbroken but proud. A legacy of resilience, forged from loss. But they made one mistake. They forgot to bury me. I whispered it out loud, the words tasting like fire. If they wanted me dead, they forgot to bury me. And now, I had proof, not just of their lies, but of my existence. And soon, so would everyone else. They held a memorial for me. Again, every year, like clockwork, the family would gather to honor my memory. I found the invitation online, posted on the company's website like a PR stunt. Elegant venue, catered brunch, speeches from family members who hadn't spoken to me in years before they buried me. I bought a black dress, not out of irony, out of clarity. Let them see the ghost they created, wrapped in the color of their lie. When I arrived, no one recognized me at first. I stood near the entrance, calm, invisible, watching them sip champagne and trade polished condolences. My father was greeting guests with practiced sorrow. Chloe stood at the front, poised to speak. I waited until she opened her mouth. Then I stepped forward. The room didn't gasp all at once. It was a slow wave of realization. Heads turning, glasses pausing midair. A few people blinked like they were seeing an illusion. Then someone whispered, "Is that?" Chloe froze. My father turned pale. The blood drained from his face, so fast I thought he might faint. I walked down the center aisle, slow, deliberate, the sound of my heels echoing in a silence thick with shock. I held a folder in one hand. The other stayed loose at my side. I stopped at the front, looked at Chloe, looked at them all. "I heard you've been celebrating my death," I said. "I figured I should show up." A few people laughed nervously. Others just stared. Then I opened the folder. Inside, death certificate, inheritance records, business filings, wedding documents. Proof. No one spoke. Phones came out. People started recording. I didn't flinch. They buried a lie. Now they were watching it crawl out of the grave. I didn't need to yell. I just stood there, holding the truth in my hands, and let the silence do the work. "For years," I said, "you told the world I was dead. But I wasn't lost. I was erased." Gasps rippled through the room. Some guests looked away. Others leaned in, hungry for more. Cameras were already rolling. I stepped closer to the podium, where Chloe still stood frozen. Her mask cracked just slightly. Her fingers trembled at her sides. I opened the folder and began to speak. "This is the falsified death certificate filed by someone in this room. It claims I died in a car crash, yet there's no accident report, no coroner, no body. Convenient, isn't it?" I flipped to the next page. "This is the trust fund my grandfather left me. Weeks after I was declared dead, it was transferred to Chloe under my name, illegally." Whispers turned into murmurs. Some people began filming openly. My father tried to interrupt. I raised my hand without even looking at him. "And this," I said, holding up the wedding license, "is Chloe Navarro's marriage certificate. My name, my legacy, my life." I looked out at the room, locking eyes with every person who had once looked through me. "You didn't lose me," I said. "You buried me alive. And now that I'm standing here, breathing, talking, proving, what are you going to do with this version of the story?" My voice didn't shake. Chloe did. The lie wasn't just exposed. It collapsed. In real time, The room was no longer mourning. It was unraveling. And for the first time in years, I was seen. I didn't stay to watch the aftermath. Let them explain it to the cameras. Let them scramble for damage control. Let Chloe stutter through her carefully built lies as they crumbled around her. I had already done what I came to do. Outside, the air felt different. Lighter. Sharper. Like the sky had been holding its breath with me and finally exhaled. Reporters swarmed the entrance. Microphones pointed in every direction. But I walked past them all, silent. They didn't need a statement. My presence was the statement. I filed the lawsuit that same afternoon. Forgery. Identity theft. Fraud. Emotional damages. My attorney almost dropped her coffee when she saw the stack of documents I handed over. But this was never just about revenge. It was about return. I didn't want their apology. I didn't need their approval. What I wanted, what I took back, was my name, my story, my life. For years, I thought I had to wait for someone to come save me, to call, to care. But the truth is, sometimes you have to rise alone. And so I did. The final scene wasn't loud. No courtroom. No dramatic confrontation. Just me on a hilltop, watching the sun rise over a world that once tried to forget I existed. My voice steady in a soft voiceover. Sometimes you have to die in their world to live in your own. I don't know what comes next, but I know who I am now. Not a victim. Not a ghost. Not a forgotten name in someone else's story. I am Leah Navarro, and I am no longer silent. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. This is Soulful Stories, where love and justice always prevail. See you next time.